Many have had less than ideal circumstances in childhood and life in general. But how does one begin the recovery process? Connection and community have been absolute essentials on Seth Dewey's journey to healing and finding a life of freedom, meaning, and purpose. Here he is to share the importance of connection.
All right. I was born in 1982 in Nebraska to a family that looked much like this one right here. Pretty normal, you know what I mean, on the surface. I mean, my dad was a middle-class worker, mom stayed at home, had sisters, and even a pet. But like I said, that was on the surface. Due to the extreme religious organization that my parents were a part of, there was no association with anyone outside of that organization. This led to feelings of not belonging, isolation, and extreme loneliness at a young age. Where I really began to feel the disconnection, as the photo shows, was at school with birthdays, holidays, or anything patriotic. Due to my parents asking, the teachers would ask me to leave and go to the library during this time, which I got to develop a great reading habit. When I was young, I was also sexually abused by someone in that religious organization. Then you enter the shame, the guilt, the fear, which only expounded those feelings of isolation, loneliness that was mentioned earlier. So once again, that feeling of not being a part of anything safe, not being able to talk about what was really going on, coupled with no outside influence, only furthered my personal disconnection. At a young age, I felt frustrated. I remember feeling so alone and so angry at times and so confused about what was going on. With nowhere to turn to, especially to my family. After all, if you don't have your family, what do you have at that age? This led me to rebel, of course, what you do when you're told what to do all the time. And that's where I found drugs and alcohol. When I was high or drunk, I didn't feel those feelings. I didn't feel that disconnection. And I, frankly, didn't care. But when I sobered up or I came down, I sure did. And it was 10 times worse. I felt even more alone, like I was just a spectator in my life. So my goal at that point was to never come down. This led to my first incarceration at the age of 19 in the Nebraska State Penitentiary. I wish that I could say that that was the end of it and that's where I learned my lesson and all that. But I didn't. I continually battled with my addiction and was in and out of jails constantly. Now, after moving to Kansas, something changed for me at this facility right here. There were programs that showed me that drugs were only a small part of my problem. It was my feelings and that disconnection that really was the key. See, they pointed me in the direction of Oxford House Neum at 1500 North Main, right down the road. A home for recovery, a safe place where one can work on themselves and learn to live a responsible, productive life again. Then strange things started to happen. I was invited to take part in community events to help others that were battling with addiction and to educate other people about what was going on in our community and about resources that were available. All of a sudden, I started feeling a part of. I saw people helping people unconditionally, and I started feeling plugged into an amazing energy I had never felt. Yes, it was connection to other human beings, something that I had been lacking my whole life. And it continued to grow from there. This is our Oxford House of Kansas logo, representing the 134 houses that there are in Kansas. Myself, helping others feel that connection in my service with Oxford House only furthered my personal growth, my happiness, and gave me a purpose. In July of 2018, members of the Reno County Correctional Facility and some of the other sheriff's deputies played a softball game against Oxford House residents. This picture speaks volumes about second chances and a changing of hearts and minds. Not only was I starting to feel a healing inside with the help of this community, I was also seeing it in others, not just the addicts, but people in the community. The puzzle pieces were starting to fit together. The way we fight addiction and trauma is connection. Excuse me. Never having had a healthy family life, I finally was starting to find it. It was freely given to me in this community, especially by the law enforcement that didn't give up on me or on us, people in recovery. I was actually invited even to go to Washington, D.C. with Communities That Care to attend a prevention and leadership conference for some of Hutchinson's youth. And that, for me, deepened my community connection, and it broadened all of our perspectives, helping us see different things. And why I stress the importance of connection is not only does it heal trauma and fight addiction, but it's helping me personally to give my son what I didn't have, a safe and unconditionally loving home. Yes, while we all have different views, different political viewpoints and religious views, we're still all connected. Something Mother Teresa says that I always quote is, I can do things you cannot do, you can do things I cannot do, but together we can do great things.